So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps for completing your Scaled States project. All those steps are written out for you on Canvas, but you can also watch this video to figure that out. So a couple things you'll need to complete this. First of all, you'll need this work page, which we're actually going to start down here where it says work for scale. So you need this work page. You'll need, switch the camera here. You'll need your copy of the state. I'm doing Ontario because that's not one that you guys will be doing. So I'll do Ontario just as a way to show. It doesn't matter that it's not in the US. I'm just using this as an example. So you'll need your state. You'll need a ruler and a pencil. And I think, oh, and you'll need to download the app. Whoops, what am I doing here? You're going to download the Mapulator app. Okay, a couple things about this app. First of all, when you first go into this, if you just type the word map into self-service, it's the first thing that comes up. I'll show you the logo. You see it down there in the bottom left-hand corner. Let me see if I can find it here. There it is. It's the one with the ruler and the globe on it. When you first come in, the default settings are not settings you want to use. So if you click on the gear in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to change this to distance. And for the distance unit, you want to change it to miles rather than meters. And then area unit, you can change that to square miles if you want. But we're not doing area, so that's not a big deal. Then hit back. Now we're ready to use this. You also want to do a little bit of legwork before you go into this. So for me, what I did was I went on Google and I looked up cities and landmarks in Ontario. So I'm going to do the cities of Sudbury, Ottawa, and Thunder Bay. Couple rules about that. You cannot use the capital of your state because on the printouts I give you, the capital is already plotted. Ottawa, by the way, is the capital of Canada, but not Ontario. Toronto is the capital of the province of Ontario. You're also going to need two landmarks. The landmarks cannot be in the cities you are doing. So they have to be different. So I'm doing, one of them I'm doing is Dunburn Castle. That's in the city of Hamilton, Ontario, so I could not do the city of Hamilton. And then I'm doing the Algonquin Provincial Park. So those are my landmarks in my cities. Again, the landmarks cannot be in the cities you're doing. Your landmarks can also not be in your capital city. So keep that in mind as you're choosing, and then just make sure you choose landmarks from your state. You can do that either by looking on Google. You can zoom in on your state. So here's Ontario. So here's Polar Bear Provincial Park. I've got to find Algonquin, I'm realizing. It's going to be one of these green areas here. I also know there's a way to search, but be that as it may, oh, there it is. There's Algonquin. Okay. So those are things you need before you get started. Now, to do this, what we're trying to do is we're trying to plot these cities and these landmarks onto your paper map. In order for that to happen, we're going to use what's called triangulation. We're going to measure from the eastern, the western, the southern, and northern border, and then see where it is we end up. These distance from cities, this would be like a check to see whether or not you were close or not. We'll get to that toward the end of the video here. So before we can do that, we need to figure out how the drawing of or how your map relates to the real life state, or in this case, province. So what I need to do is I'm going to measure, I'm going to take a look at my map, okay, and I'm going to find like a straight line, something that would be easy to identify on my printout. So if I look up here, you see this gray dotted line that I'm following here with my pin. That's something I can measure on both the app and on my printout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the pin over this. Got a little lag here. Come on. Oh, brother. Figures this would happen. There we go. Okay. We're back. So I'm going to put the pin over this little corner right here, and I'm going to hit the red and white circle, like target looks like there, in the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to set a pin, and then I'm going to come up here to the top of my map, and I'm going to drop another one in at that intersection. And you'll notice when I do that up the top, it says 374, and that's around that to 0.7 miles. That's the real-life measurement from or along that border there. So 374.79. Remember, the formula for scale is drawing over real life. I just did the real life measurement again, 374.7 miles. Now what I need to do is I need to figure out the drawings dimensions that correspond with that. So for that, I'm going to switch to my camera view, and we're going to measure that on the map itself. So I'm going to grab my ruler. Again, when you measure, make sure you measure, you're going to measure from the 0, not from the first number there. And also we're going to do centimeters. The reason being centimeters is in tenths, inches are in 16ths. Centimeters are better for this job. They're easier to be more exact. So if I look at this, I've got 5, and then I've got, looks like 1, 2, 3 tick marks. Try to get on there a little more accurate. The more accurate you are on this, the easier your whole project is going to go. So that's 5.3 centimeters. So let me go back to my Notability file. 5.3 centimeters. So 5.3 centimeters on my drawing corresponds or relates to 374 miles in real life Ottawa. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to get that down to, I'm going to see what does 1 centimeter equal. So to do that, I'll divide the top and the bottom by 5.3, kind of a reverse unit right here. I'll type on my calculator, 374.7 divided by 5.3, and I get 70.7 miles. Ontario is pretty big. So 1 centimeter on my drawing corresponds to about 71 miles in real life. That's going to be important moving forward. So let me copy that. And I'm going to come up here. I'm going to paste that up here at the top of this page. You'll see why in a second. Okay, now go back to my camera view in a second here. You'll notice this says distance from the eastern border, distance from the western border, distance from northern, distance from southern. The issue with that is there's a lot of different things I could use, different points I could use for my eastern, western, southern, or northern border. So what I need to do, wait for the lag to catch up here. There we go. What I need to do is I need to pick points on the northern, southern, eastern, western border that I could easily find in the app and on my drawing. So for me, I'm thinking this is a pretty obvious northern border point. So I'll use that for north. Maybe I'll use this for west. I'll use this for east. So I got to make sure I find that exact point. And then I'll use this for south. It doesn't have to be your southernmost point, your easternmost point, whatever. But they do need to be, you need to be able to find those. So I'm going to show you how to plot, go back here. I'm going to show you how to plot, I think Sudbury is my first one. So Sudbury is, if I remember right, right down here. Okay. So we're not just going to eyeball this. We're going to use math to measure this. First of all, you see I still have the measurement along that top border. Hit the trash can anytime you want to take a new measurement. I'm going to measure to my, let's do my western border first. So remember we picked this as the western border point on the drawing. So I'll put a little pin there. Then I'll come back to Sudbury. And I'll drop a pin there. So from that western border point, it's 768.1 miles. Okay, from the western, 768.1 miles. Okay, let's do from the eastern border. Yep. I'll grab it there. Okay, the eastern border, if I look back at my map, it gets a little convoluted here, but I don't know if you could see that dotted line there. The eastern border I picked was right there, kind of across the river from Montreal. So 322.7 for the eastern border. 322.7 miles. Northern or southern and northern. Okay, so for southern, again, drop a pin on Sudbury. And then southern, I picked that little point right there. 326.6 miles. You'll see why I'm getting all these measurements before I do anything else in a second. Okay. And then from the northern point, there's Sudbury, all the way up north. Here we go. 789.1. Okay. Okay. So there's my mileage measurements. My issue is I want to figure out how far on my drawing do I measure down in centimeters. If this is 789 miles in real life, and I know Sudbury is like somewhere in here, how far do I measure down from that northern point in order to kind of start to triangulate and to plot this? So what I'm going to do is this. I know, because I figured out it before, that 1 centimeter on my map is about 71 miles in real life. So you probably see where I'm going with this. I don't know how far it is on my drawing, so I call that X, but I do know from the eastern border it's 322.7 miles in real life. If I cross multiply, I get 70.7x equals 322.7. So my calculator, if I do 322.7 divided by 70.7, I get 4.56 centimeters. So from my eastern border, okay, so the eastern border, whoops, I want to be in my camera actually. Okay, so for my eastern border was here. I forget what that number was. Come on. There we go. 4.56 from the east in the direction of Sudbury. Okay, so Sudbury, let me see, I might have to be a little creative. Pardon the camera work here, I'm working solo. So I'm going to measure 4.56 in the direction of Sudbury. 4.56, put that on that 0. You'll be able to do this a lot more accurately because you're not working one-handed. So I'll put in a little teeny mark at 4.6 right there. Okay, so that's from the east. Let's figure out how far it is from the west. Okay, notability. Now notice on this, the only thing that's going to change is this measurement down here. So a little pro tip here. We can save tons of time if we do a little bit of copying and pasting here at the outset. So let me just do that real quick. I'm going to do copy, paste, copy, paste. And then I can grab all of this. Notice I'm not grabbing my mileage measurements because that's unique to the different city and such. And you can paste this across the entire board. That way your work's all ready to go. So it looks like a ton of work on here, but since you're using the iPad, it's a lot less work than if you did it by hand. And now all we have to do, whoops, I got a 3 in there. I actually have more work to do than you do because I got to delete that 3. Just be careful with what you grab to copy and paste. All I've got to do now is go in and fill in this, take this measurement here, fill that in like that. Copy and paste that here. So from the west, I'm going to do 768.1 divided by, and I get 10.9 centimeters. That western border. Okay. From the southern, go like this, copy, paste. 326.6 divided by 70.7, 4.6 centimeters from the south. And okay, let's grab this, copy. iPad makes this a lot easier. 79.1 divided by 70.7, 11.2 from the centimeters from the north. Okay, let me jot those down real quick. 10.9, 4.6, that's 10.9 from the west, south, 11.2 from the north. Okay, switching over to camera then. Almost done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these measurements here and I'm going to plot, again, in the direction of Sudbury. Okay. Go. Okay, so I got it on there. So you'll notice, zoom back out, my dots aren't exactly right on each other. That's probably because I'm not being extremely accurate. But watch what happens as I plot more. Then we come from the north, 11.2. Wind up. That's going to be pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then from the south, 4.6. You start to see how these are all kind of landing in the same location. So see how all those dots kind of ended up in the same place? I'm going to take and kind of just average out the location of all those. So I'm going to say Sudbury. It's right there. So I'm done plotting Sudbury. So I'm going to erase that. And that's how you do each individual city. Okay? And notice how I just took those triangulated points, put them all together. All right, so just kind of go back and finish up how you're going to finish this whole thing. So you need to go and find those mileages, just like I did. So if I was going to finish this, I'd go find Ottawa, do all the mileage from the east, west, north, and south. Same for Thunder Bay. Same for the Algonquin Provincial Park. Same for Dunburn Castle. For Dunburn Castle, since it's in Hamilton, I would just put my pin on Hamilton. You're going to plot each of your cities, and then you're going to come down here. And so remember, like column 1 here, this whole column is Sunbury. And so that's like city number 1. Okay? City number 2 is Ottawa. City number 3 is Thunder Bay. So when it says distance from city number, we're talking about this is from city 1 to city number 2. Okay, so how far is it from Sunbury to Ottawa? Okay? Here. Distance from city 3 would be from Sunbury to Thunder Bay. So on the map, we would have to come in, go back to Mapulator, and drop a pin on Sunbury, drop a pin on Thunder Bay. Notice how if I zoom in or out, you get to see more details. So there's Thunder Bay. So from Sunbury to Thunder Bay is 407.8. So that's what I'm talking about when I say figure out how far it is from city to city. And then you'll come onto your map. Once I know that distance there, you'll plug the mileage into your proportion. Again, using the scale. For me, that's 1 centimeter to 70.7 miles. Your scale will be different because your city is different. And then you'll just come on here. So if let's just say I skipped ahead and Thunder Bay is like right there, I would measure how far that is in centimeters and make sure I'm close. That's when I said earlier, it's like a check step, okay? So when you're done with this page in Notability, this work page, you'll have this whole thing filled in with proportion work like we have here, 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 and so on, okay? You need to come down here. You're going to get population density information. So you did the population density assignment already, so you know how to calculate this. It says use the 2011 census. Obviously, if you can find more recent data, then use that, whether it's on Google or whatever. You can go to census.gov as well. Scale factor, all you're doing is you're taking this scale and you're converting it to scale factor. And you should know how to do that as well. When you're all done plotting your state, you've plotted everything, you've completed the work page, you're going to decorate your state. Use themes about it. So maybe I'd put a maple leaf on here, maybe something from the Toronto Maple Leafs. I could figure out what the provincial, if there's a provincial logo or an animal that represents or something like that. So there's all kinds of things you can do to decorate this thing. Just make it look good because we are going to display these. And then you turn this physical paper in and you turn your digital work page in as well, just like we normally turn stuff in. So that's it as far as I can remember, as far as directions go, but that's the whole process. We moved through it pretty quickly, but that's kind of all you do for this project. So obviously if you have questions, you can let me know in class, and good luck.